He told her they couldn't keep it. She didn't listen, and that decision, made in a back alley in the pouring rain, cracked both of them wide open. It was a Thursday night when Maya found him. Not a light drizzle, the kind of rain that soaks through your jacket in 30 seconds and makes you question every choice that led you to be outside. She was cutting through the alley behind their apartment building, hood pulled low, when she nearly stepped on something pressed against the base of the dumpster. A black cat, completely still, soaked through to the bone, fur matted flat against his tiny frame. He didn't bolt, didn't hiss, just looked up at her with these enormous amber eyes, the color of a lit candle, and didn't move at all. That stillness scared her more than any hissing would have. She crouched down, right there in the rain, on the wet concrete, and just looked at him. There was a gash along his left shoulder, dried blood matted into his fur. He was breathing, but barely. And those eyes, they weren't feral wild. They were exhausted, like he'd been fighting something for a long time and had finally just stopped. Maya pulled out her phone and called Daniel. "There's a cat," she said. "He's hurt. I'm not leaving him here." Silence on the other end. Then, "Maya, it's 11 at night. I know what time it is." If you've ever watched someone choose to stop and help when every practical instinct said keep walking, if you've ever been the person who couldn't just leave, then stick around, because what happens to this little guy over the next few weeks is going to wreck you in the best possible way. Go ahead and hit subscribe so you don't miss what comes next. Daniel showed up 7 minutes later with a cardboard box and a towel, wearing his jacket inside out because he'd been asleep on the couch. He took one look at the cat and said, "He's feral, Maya. We can't just... He's hurt." Daniel opened his mouth, closed it, and then he carefully, slowly slid the towel under the cat, who didn't scratch, didn't bite, just trembled, and lifted him into the box. They named him Shadow that night, partly because of his color, partly because he'd disappeared into every dark corner of their bathroom the moment they set him down. The emergency vet told them the shoulder wound was deep, infected, probably a fight, another cat, maybe a dog, or maybe something worse. He'd need surgery, antibiotics, and at least 2 weeks of restricted movement. She looked at them both over the exam table and asked how long they'd had him. "About 40 minutes, Daniel said. The vet didn't blink. She'd heard stranger things. She also told them something that stopped Daniel cold. Shadow had a small white patch under his chin, only visible when he tilted his head back, barely visible against all that black fur, like a secret he'd been carrying for years. "He's not fully feral," the vet said quietly. "This one's been around people before. Something happened to him out there, something that made him stop trusting." Daniel looked at Maya. Maya looked at Shadow, still and exhausted on the exam table. Neither of them said anything. They didn't need to. Surgery was the next morning. When they brought him home, Shadow was wearing a cone and a little red recovery vest that the clinic had fitted around his torso to protect the stitches. He looked absolutely furious about it. He sat in the corner of the recovery crate Daniel had set up in the spare room, cone pressed against the bars, staring at them like they were personally responsible for every bad thing that had ever happened to him. Daniel sat on the floor outside the crate every evening, not to interact, just to be there. He'd talk about his day, low and quiet, while Maya passed treats through the bars on a long spoon, the only way Shadow would eat those first few days. The moment a hand got too close, he'd press himself to the back of the crate and go completely still. "He's terrified," Daniel said one night. "Yeah," Maya said, "but he's still eating. That means he's choosing to trust us a little." "That's a stretch." "That's hope, Daniel." Day 9. Maya was changing Shadow's water inside the crate when it happened. Shadow walked up to her hand, slowly, deliberately, like he'd been thinking about it for days, and pressed the top of his head against her knuckles. 1 second, maybe 2. Then he stepped back and sat down and looked away like it hadn't happened at all. Maya didn't move for a long time. She texted Daniel a single word. "He touched me." Daniel came home early from work that day. By the end of week 2, the cone came off. The red vest stayed on a few more days while the stitches healed, but Shadow started moving differently, less hunched, more deliberate. He'd pace the length of the crate slowly, watching them with those amber eyes that seemed to catch every light in the room. The day they opened the crate door and let him choose, that was the day everything shifted. Shadow sat at the edge of the open door for almost an hour, just watching, processing, like he was doing some kind of internal risk assessment that humans will never fully understand. Then he walked out, sniffed the floor, looked at Daniel, looked at Maya, and went directly to the kitchen counter, jumped up, and sat down in the exact center of it, like he'd always lived there. Daniel laughed. Actually laughed, surprised out of himself. He just claimed the whole kitchen. He claimed the whole apartment, Maya said. We live here now on his terms. 3 months later, Shadow sleeps on the pillow between them. He chirps at birds through the window every morning at exactly 7:15. He knocks Maya's hair ties off the bathroom counter one at a time, watches them fall, and then looks at her like she should be impressed. He follows Daniel from room to room, not close enough to touch most of the time, but always there, always in the same space. He's not the same cat they carried out of that alley in a cardboard box. And maybe that's the thing that keeps Maya up sometimes, late at night with Shadow's warm weight pressed against her legs, his quiet purr filling the dark room like a small engine of trust. She thinks about that alley, the rain, the way he just looked up at her and didn't run. What if she'd walked faster? What if Daniel hadn't shown up with that box? What if someone had looked at those amber eyes in the dark and thought, "Feral, not worth it, keep moving"? Shadow would still be in that alley, or he wouldn't be anywhere at all. Daniel thinks about it too, though he'd never say it out loud. He just scratches behind Shadow's ears, the one spot Shadow always leans into, and gets this look on his face. The look of a guy who said no and is very glad nobody listened. So here's the question that doesn't have a clean answer. How many Shadows are out there right now, pressed against a wall somewhere in the rain, just waiting to see if anyone's going to stop? Would you have stopped?